There were 4 minutes left on Elvis's first professional test before they told him that's enough. But what happened in the parking lot afterward made a legend. Elvis Presley, then 19 years old, was sitting in his beat-up 1942 Lincoln Continental in the Memphis, Tennessee, parking lot of Sun Records on January 4, 1954. He could hardly hold on to the driving wheel because his hands were shaking so badly. It had taken him 45 minutes of sitting there to get the courage to walk through that door. Elvis had dreamed about this day for many years. Sun Records was the place where huge names in blues and country music got their start. Sam Phillips, the boss, was known for taking ordinary people and making them into something special. This was Elvis's shot. This was his chance to show that all the years of training, singing on the porch at night, and hearing people say that his voice was cool were worth it. But Elvis was scared. He had never really tried out for a job before. He had sung before at school, church, and family events, but this was different. Elvis was just a truck driver with a dream and a voice he wasn't even sure was good enough. This was the music business. Finally, at 3:47 p.m. Elvis pushed his way out of the truck. He was wearing his dad's nice shirt for this. There were so many times his mom pressed his pants that they were like butter. He had enough grease in his hair to keep a boat dry. Before he could change his mind, he grabbed his guitar from the passenger seat and walked out the door. The front desk at Sun Records was staffed by Marion Kisker. She worked for Sam Phillips and was in charge of most of the walk-in tryouts. Marion had seen and heard hundreds of hopefuls come through that door. In about 30 seconds, she could generally tell if someone was serious or just trying to waste her time. Elvis walked in and right away. It didn't feel right. There were pictures of real musicians on the walls, people who had made songs and were important. He was just a kid who worked for Crown Electric Company as a truck driver. Marion looked up from her work and asked, "Can I help you?" Elvis blew his nose. "Yes, ma'am. I'd like to try out. If that's okay with you." "Possible. If you're hearing people today," she said after looking at him for a moment. He looked so scared he might throw up, but something about how tense he was made her notice him. "What kind of music do you sing?" "All kinds, ma'am. I can sing ballads, gospel, country, blues, anything you want." "Who do you sound like?" Elvis paused. This was the question that always stumped him. Marion had heard singers who couldn't carry a tune say that, but Elvis's answer, which was a mix of pride and fear, made her curious. "Sam was working on something in the back, but I could record you doing a test track for $4. If Sam likes what he hears, he might call you back for a real audition." Elvis's heart sank. There was exactly $3.72 in his pocket. He was going to use it to buy gas for his truck so he could get to work the next day. "Ma'am, I've got $3.72, is there a way?" Marion cut him off and said, "That's fine. I've broken this rule before for kids who clearly couldn't afford it. Come on back." Elvis followed her into the small recording room, his guitar heavy in his hands. Marion set up the gear and gave him a pair of headphones that had electrical tape on them. "What are you going to sing?" Marion pressed the record button and said, "All right, when you're ready." Elvis then started to sing. At first, his voice was shaky, nervous, and uncertain. But then, he closed his eyes. It was my mom's favorite song. Mary was watching him, but he forgot about everything except the song. His voice found its groove, that unique mix of country twang and R&B soul that didn't sound like anyone else. Marion raised an eyebrow. This kid didn't sound like the other country singers who came through. He didn't sound like the blues singers who came through. Elvis got through the first verse and was starting the second when the door to the recording booth opened suddenly. Sam Phillips walked in, looking angry. "Marion," Sam asked. What Sam stopped when he saw Elvis in the booth just doing a test recording. Marion replied, "This is." That's when she realized she didn't know his name. "Elvis Presley, sir," Elvis said, pulling off his wig. His heart was sinking as he took off the headphones. Sam's face told him that the audition was over. Sam crossed his arms and stared at Elvis for a long time. "Play me something else." Something up-tempo. Elvis's hands were shaking so badly that he almost dropped his guitar. He started playing a fast version of That's All Right, an Arthur Crudup blues song that Elvis had been obsessed with for months. Elvis sang it with all his heart and soul for 4 minutes, but at exactly 4 minutes in, Sam raised his hand and said, "That's enough." Elvis stopped in the middle of a verse, and Sam looked at Marion and then back at Elvis. "Son, what are you trying to do here, sir? What kind of music are you trying to make?" she asked. "What point are you trying to make?" Because I just heard Sam pause and look for words. "It's confusing. You're mixing blues and country like they're the same thing. You can't do that. You need to stay in your lane." Elvis's face burned. "I just sing what I feel, sir." Sam told him straight out, "You don't have to sing what you feel. You're stuck in a no man's land. Black radio won't play you because you're white and singing their music wrong." Marion tried to speak up, but Sam was already talking. "And your guitar playing is at best average. Your voice is interesting, but interesting doesn't sell records. It's too different from what they're used to hearing." Elvis stood there holding his guitar, feeling every word like a punch to the gut. "My advice is to stick to truck driving. You've got a steady job, right? Keep that job. Music isn't going to work out for you. You don't fit anywhere," Sam said. "Yes, sir." "Thank you for your time," Elvis said in a whisper. Elvis walked out of that recording booth, through the front office, and out to his truck. He made it about 30 feet into the parking lot before the tears started. He sat in his truck, crying so hard he could barely breathe, still clutching his guitar. Everything Sam Phillips had said echoed in his head. Too different, too weird, doesn't fit anywhere. Drive trucks instead. Elvis thought he was unique and would become famous for years. His mother told him he would, and teachers said he had a beautiful voice. But now someone who worked in the music business told him he wasn't good enough and never would be. Elvis cried in the parking lot for almost 2 hours as he watched the sun go down. Saw other people leave Sun Records and his dreams fall apart. Then something changed. Elvis wiped his eyes and looked at himself in the rearview mirror. He looked terrible, his eyes were red, his face was blotchy, and his hair was a mess from running his hands through it, but he saw something else. He saw his mom's face when she gave him that guitar, the lunch lady who fed him for free so he could follow his dream, the mechanic who gave him work so he could buy guitar strings, and everyone else who had ever believed in him. And Elvis got mad because Sam Phillips had told him he was too different. But maybe that was what the world needed. It was time for Elvis to make a place for himself where he did belong. He got in his truck and drove straight to his parents' apartment. He found his mom in the kitchen, and she knew right away what was wrong. "Baby, what's wrong?" she asked. Elvis said, "I tried out at Sun Records today. Sam Phillips told me to stay a truck driver because my music was too confusing and different." Gladys gave her son a hug and said, "That man doesn't know everything. Mama, he's Sam Phillips. He knows the music business. If he says I'm not good enough, Elvis Aaron Presley. You listen to me." Gladys grabbed her son's face and said, "That man told you that you don't fit into the boxes he knows. You're not supposed to fit into their boxes, you're supposed to make your own." Elvis pulled away, angry. "Mama, you don't understand. He was right. I don't sound like anyone else when I sing country music with a blues feel or blues music with a country twang." Gladys insisted, "That's exactly why it's a good thing. Baby, there are a million singers who sound like everyone else. The world don't need another one of those. The world needs someone who sounds like nobody else. The world needs you." Elvis wanted to believe her, but Sam Phillips' words were still fresh in his mind. "I'm going to tell you something," Gladys said. "Yes, ma'am. Remember what I told you then? You said being different was cool. And I was right. You didn't need their choir, you've been making your own music ever since. This is the same thing, baby. Sam Phillips doesn't see what you are yet." Elvis sat at the kitchen table with his hands over his head and said, "Mama, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Keep getting turned down and told I'm not good enough. Gladys told him firmly, "Yes, you can." And you know why? Because every time someone tells you no, you're going to do something better. Strong people use pain as fuel to prove them wrong. That's what Elvis did that night. He took $3.72 out of his pocket and bought a small notebook. On the first page, he wrote down exactly what Sam Phillips had said: "Too different, too weird, doesn't fit anywhere. Drive trucks instead." Then Elvis wrote his own response under those words: "I'll show you what different can do." For the next few months, Elvis didn't give up. He kept practicing, playing at local venues, and singing on the radio when amateur shows would have him. He also kept creating that unique sound that Sam Phillips had thought was confused. Marion Kisker called Elvis in June 1954, only 5 months after that awful audition. Sam Phillips was looking for a white singer who could authentically sing black music, and Marion had never forgotten the kid with the shaky hands and the strange voice. "Sam wants you to come in and record something," Marion told Elvis. She asked, "Are you interested?" Elvis almost dropped the phone. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "When?" "Tonight at 7 o'clock. "And Elvis?" "Sam doesn't remember you from January's audition. Do not remind him. Come in and sing." The next night, Elvis came with his guitar and a racing heart. While Sam Phillips was there, Scotty Moore played guitar and Bill Black played bass. They did work for. I spent hours trying out different songs and styles, but nothing seemed to work. Then, during a break, Elvis started messing around with "That's All Right." This was the same song he was singing when Sam Phillips stopped him 5 months before and told him to stick to driving trucks. Things were different this time, though. Elvis wasn't singing it to show off. He wasn't trying to sound like someone else or fit into a certain group. It was just for fun, and he was letting his natural style show. Scotty and Bill joined in, and all of a sudden, a sound that no one had heard before filled the room. It felt like country music, but it wasn't. It sounded like blues but wasn't. It was something brand new. In a hurry, Sam Phillips ran into the recording room. "What did that mean? What do you have planned?" Elvis stopped because he was sure he had done something wrong once more. "He was just messing around, sir." Sam told them to do it again. "Do the same thing you did." They wrote down "That's fine." In one take. When it was over, Sam Phillips looked at Elvis with eyes that seemed to be filled with awe. "Son, I have no idea what that was, but it's going to be big." Elvis wanted to tell Sam that 5 months before, he had said that this style was confusing and wouldn't work in the business world, but Sam just smiled and kept his mouth shut. "That's All Right" came out in July 1954. In just a few weeks, it became the most played song on Memphis radio. Soon, Elvis Presley was playing shows that were full to the brim. He became the biggest star in America in just 2 years. Sam Phillips sold Elvis's contract to RCA for $35,000. That was the most money that had ever been paid for a recording artist. During the talks about the contract, Sam took Elvis away. "You know what's funny?" Sam said. "I almost let you get away. When you came in for that test recording in January 1954, I told you to stick to truck driving. Do you remember that?" Elvis took out his wallet and showed Sam the small notebook he still carried. On the first page,